in response to the bill that we introduced 2 days ago, that ENC is marking up right now, that would allow for a divestiture of TikTok. Users of TikTok are getting a pop-up on the app lying about our bill. It asks them to enter the zip code they're in, and then it automatically calls the member of Congress in that zip code, saying stop the ban on TikTok. But of course, if you actually read the bill, it's not a ban, it's a divestiture. And it puts the choice squarely in the hands of TikTok to sever their relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. And as long as they do that, as long as ByteDance no longer owns the company, TikTok can continue to survive. People can continue to do all the dumb dance videos they want on the platform, or their friends and all that stuff. But the basic ownership structure has to change. That's the message we've heard from every single national security official in the Biden administration right now. It's why we have such strong bipartisan support. It's why the White House has signaled support. We've spent months arriving at a carefully crafted, thoughtful legislative solution to a difficult problem. And now TikTok is using the app to lie about it. So today, it's about our bill, and it's about intimidating members considering that bill. But tomorrow, it could be misinformation or lies about an election, about a war, about any number of things. This is why we can't take the chance of having a dominant news platform in America controlled or owned by a company that is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party, our foremost adversary. So I'm confident cooler heads will prevail, and I know the ENC markup is proceeding apace right now, but this is just not a constructive way to engage in the legislative process.
Is it impacting a lot of your colleagues? Have you been hearing from them about these pop-ups? Are they getting a lot of calls?
They're getting a lot of calls in their offices, for sure. Some members live in their office. I actually live in my office. It's really glamorous. And they were saying that their phones are ringing off the hook last night. Whether it's impacting their analysis, I don't know. The good news is we spent a lot of time kind of talking to people and getting people comfortable with the bill's construct.
There's obviously a lot of momentum behind this. Speaker Johnson's behind this. So are we expecting like a vote next week?
I would hope we vote as quickly as possible. Obviously, we have like a 5-day rule, and we might be right up against that on Wednesday. So I'm for whatever the most expeditious path to the floor is, and then obviously there's another part of Congress we have to deal with over there, the Senate.
What are you hearing from them?
A lot of interest, eagerness to introduce a companion piece of legislation. Obviously, we go through Senate Commerce. I've had discussions with a lot of the members, and we welcome that. And hope they could act swiftly. Obviously, we've had some work already done in this space by Senator Warner, who understands the threat very clearly and is one of the most thoughtful members of Congress. So we're hoping to make this a bicameral effort. And as the president, I think, signaled yesterday, he would sign a bill if it got to his desk. So we should do that.
Should he talk about that in the State of the Union tonight? Should he?
Sure. Yeah, the president should talk about all of my priorities in the State of the Union. It should be a Mike Gallagher focused State of the Union.
But given the momentum right now behind TikTok and the president's support, he has his own campaign arm has a TikTok. So is it incumbent on him to say something?
Well, I don't know if it's incumbent upon him. He can talk about whatever he wants. Listen, I think it's incumbent upon him to talk about our foremost national security threat, which is the Chinese Communist Party. And this is part of that threat, right? That is, I think the president would be wise to focus squarely on what we can do together as Republicans, as Democrats, as Americans to stand up to increasing communist aggression. I think you'd find a lot of support for those efforts, and this could certainly be a component of that argument. So we'll see if he does it. That being said, I have to confess, I've long been a proponent of going back to written State of the Unions because these things are getting way too long, and we should do an over-under on how many standing ovations there are going to be tonight because it's getting ridiculous. But didn't they used to do it out here on this side of the Capitol?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the inauguration.
What if they don't?
That's right. Yeah.
What if they don't divest? I mean, what are the consequences if they say we're not going to follow suit?
App stores would no longer be able to host the app after, and there'd be 165
So there'd be a ban.
It'd be if they don't divest. Yeah.
You know, this bill has come around pretty quickly. I mean, we just all found out about it on Monday. The markup's already happening today. For your colleagues, I know you've been working on this for months, but many of them, I'm sure, aren't fully read in on the bill yet. I mean, are these phone calls that they're getting, their phones ringing off the hook, is this having an impact on support from the bill? Are you hearing from folks who say, hey, I just can't back this?
Not yet, no. I mean, we've gotten, all the sort of, leadership is behind the effort. think most members of Energy and Commerce are behind the effort, so not yet. And though, yeah, the bill just got released 2 days ago, it's only 12 pages, so even a member of Congress could read a bill at that length, I think. And I have to salute the work of Chairwoman Catherine Morris Rogers, as well as Ranking Member Pallone, who've tackled this in a very thoughtful, constructive way. And again, as I said yesterday in our press conference, was that yesterday? I'm losing track of time. Look, we didn't arrive at this solution lightly. I mean, it's a very complicated issue. There's been previous attempts to do this that haven't worked, so we've tried to learn from those failures and iterate off of it. And thus far, everyone's approaching it very constructively. And again, I'll salute the White House, which is something I don't often do, and working with their national security team and getting technical assistance on the bill. This is kind of how it should work.
If this passes,
There are constitutional
We go
concerns
here,
about
and go for it. Yeah.
There have been constitutional concerns about the bill, especially regarding the First Amendment. Groups like the ACLU have come out against it. What's your response to them?
I think there's clear precedent for tackling the basic ownership of a company. Certainly when it comes to antitrust legislation, for example, right? I mean, by that argument, we wouldn't have broken up Bell in 1982, right? This is about foreign adversary control of a social media application. It's not about censorship. It doesn't go after individual TikTok user speech or things like that. So we think this was part of our process of working together and getting not only technical assistance from the White House, but outside legal expertise. We think we've arrived at a point that doesn't engender any concerns over a bill of attainder or something like that. It's not about shutting down speech. As long as the ownership structure's changed, TikTok can continue and Americans can say whatever the heck they want on the platform.
And you have some members characterizing this bill as a ban. Would it be accurate to characterize it that way?
No, it's a divestiture, I think. It gives TikTok a choice: divest the ownership structure or lose access to app stores. So a total ban. I think TikTok is characterizing it as an outright ban, which is of course an outright lie if you look at and read the legislation.
Congressman, who determines that the company running this app is controlled by a foreign adversary? Is that a government agency? Is it a cabinet? Who determines that?
Well, we define the threshold in the statute itself, both by defining the 4 foreign adversaries: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, and then we also define the threshold for ownership and operational control. So 20% ownership. So Congress sets the definition, but for example, let's say there were a future company that engendered the same concerns that TikTok does. The administration would have to make the case, and as the executive branch has been doing for years now when it comes to TikTok, and they'd have to do that in partnership with Congress. But we've deliberately set a very clear, high bar, because we don't want this authority to be abused. And one critical thing, having learned from other attempts to do this, there's nothing in the legislation that would allow this administration or any future administration to go after an American social media company at all. It's about foreign adversary control of social media, and the privacy concerns that engenders, the espionage concerns, but most importantly, like the concerns for the news, right? If young Americans are getting all their news from TikTok, and the algorithm remains a black box, that is the fundamental concern.
Chairman, if this passes, would it make you want to stay? I mean, the House would be getting something done. A lot of people are leaving because they feel like there's, we're at a standstill.
Yeah, no, I don't think, I'm happy to pass this and leave, and I think the Republic will survive whether or not I'm in Congress, but no, there are other things I think I can do to serve the country. So.
Chairman, is your bill... If it passes the committee today, what kind of track is this on? Could this be voted on next week?
As I said before, I'm for whatever the quickest path to the floor is that doesn't violate rules and all those things, and I think the bill's simple enough where I don't think it will require months of debate. So,
China said they will not allow the sale of TikTok. So what do you say to them? Then it would be a ban.
Well, I've talked with a lot of people who are invested in ByteDance, and they understand that it would be in their interest, and even in ByteDance's interest, for there to be a sale. People could make money. For example, if TikTok went public in America, versus like a janky Hong Kong IPO. No offense to Hong Kong, we love Hong Kong pre-CCP takeover. We don't like that the CCP is destroying Hong Kong and eviscerating the idea of one country, two systems, which Taiwan has taken note of, by the way, side note. Or there, you could imagine a successful version of what was attempted a few years ago, where a collection of American or European and American companies put together with private equity bought TikTok America. And as long as there was a complete separation of the plumbing, right? No engineering, complete algorithmic control, that new entity would be free to operate in the United States and everywhere around the world. And I think it would actually be a very, it would be a very strong company, right? So and there's any number of companies that could collaborate. And I think TikTok's users would like the idea of other companies they already like having ownership of the app. It would make for a better user experience.
Congressman, would you ever put?
I don't know how to work this.
Go ahead.
Part of TikTok's campaign right now against this bill is to elevate the voices of the small businesses who are on the platform.
Yeah.
Their estimate is around 5 million small businesses, and if this app were to be banned, are you concerned about some of the entrepreneurs and all of those businesses on the platform?
All the more reason why TikTok's users should encourage ByteDance to divest TikTok from the mothership and thereby CCP control. And small businesses can flourish in that environment. So that is the outcome I'm interested in achieving.
Even if ByteDance does divest in TikTok, TikTok has less than 6 months to find a buyer and figure that out. Isn't this kind of putting TikTok at a disadvantage, kind of like getting a fire sale type mentality to it?
I don't think so. 6 months is a long time,
Is
particularly in the business world. Yeah, and this isn't like a new thing. We've been talking about this issue for years now. Obviously, the Trump administration had an executive order that ran into a legal buzzsaw, so it's not like suddenly TikTok's waking up and realizing members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are concerned about the app and want there to be a change in ownership.
Chairman, is your bill bulletproof?
One more question.
Is your bill bulletproof in terms of ensuring that any U.S. company with ties to China isn't going to be wrapped up in this? What are you hearing from the business community?
Well, I don't know if bulletproof is the right description. If I'm understanding it, I haven't heard any concerns about another company being an American company being affected by this at all. And again, we've written it explicitly so it gives no authority to the executive branch to go after any American company at all. We're very clear about that.
But how about WeChat?
Yeah.
This would ban WeChat in the U.S. Obviously, it's a Chinese app used by a lot of people here.
Yeah. Well, the principle is foreign adversary control of an app. It would affect any app owned effectively by ByteDance. I'm not going to speculate. Right now, the concern is TikTok, but it's, I think, critical, and this was another lesson we learned from previous efforts, that the bill be about a broader construct, which is foreign adversary control. So we've established the bar, we've established the definitions, we've established the intellectual framework, and then going forward we can debate what companies fall over or under that threshold.
Do you think this will prompt CFIUS to act sooner? I mean,
well, CFIUS has been reviewing it for years.
Yeah,
I think the reason we're at this point is because we've been trapped in CFIUS purgatory and Project Texas purgatory for too long, and it hasn't really resulted in anything. No, I don't think it's going to prompt CFIUS to act. We're acting because CFIUS hasn't solved the problem. So.
And is the White House fully on board with this bill, this current version?
I didn't watch the press. I think KJP was asked if the president would sign it, and she said yes. The White House released a statement praising the bill 2 days ago. So I think they're on board with it. I don't talk to the president.
There was just a mention of strengthening some of the language, so I was curious if they said anything further.
No, I don't know what that would. I mean, perhaps they have ideas for how to improve the bill when it goes to the Senate. I'm open to anything that improves the bill, but doesn't kill it. And so we'll see what that is. I don't know. But thank you guys.
All right, thanks.
Good to see you all. All right.